In this episode, I talk about my Homer and Howells make. I use this dress as inspiration for my next make, and I want to share with you my wedding dress, which I wore on this day 16 years ago. Hello, welcome back to Cloth Edit. I'm Gabrielle. Today I want to start off with my latest make, the Homer and Howells Ingrid dress. Now, normally it's not the sort of design that I love. I'm always attracted to them, but it's not something I know that I'll wear a lot of. But there were enough really interesting design details that I just couldn't resist and I had to make it. So Homer and Howells is an independent pattern company from the UK. They're lovely over there. And Ingrid, it's described as a gathered panel dress with asymmetrical seams and centre bust tuck. There are different lengths, midi and mini lengths, and there's also a top version too. So I thought I'd make a top as a toile just to check out that bust tuck feature at the centre front, because I just wasn't sure. I'd seen versions of this dress on Instagram where they'd left out that bust tuck, sort of folded out the tuck in the pattern when they were cutting it out, and I thought I might do that, but I'm glad I gave it a go because I really love it. It's just an interesting detail that you don't see around a lot, and yeah, I think it looks really great. It sits at sort of just on the bust, and yeah, it's just a lovely detail. This, I will finish this off because it's going to be a great and versatile top. It's just a black linen blend I had in my stash that's handy for toiles. Now, this version, I chose what they call as the billowy sleeve, and normally that should be pulled in with elastic in the casing, but I happened to try it on just before I put the elastic in, and I really love it as that fluted sort of flouncy sleeve. It reminds me of actually the sleeve of this dress, which I'll talk to you about in a little while. So I'm very pleased I did the toile and went with that tuck. Now onto the dress. I decided to be rather boring, really. So, my dress is very similar to, what's on the pattern cover. I guess I didn't really do that intentionally. I had some of this denim shirting. It's a beautiful Japanese cotton shirting. I had some put aside for myself, and I thought, those design details, maybe they are best in a plain fabric. So I think it worked well. I'm glad I made that decision. As I mentioned with the top, love this tuck feature on the bust. The key feature though, what I love the most, is this stepped waist seam. So it's, I don't know, maybe 12 centimetre step on that centre front seam to the gathers on the left versus the right. There is another stepped seam at the centre back, but it's quite small, the equivalent of perhaps 4 to 5 centimetres in the step. The closure at the back is just a simple loop and button. Simple enough. The inside finishing is casing, and I'll put an image of that in now for you. I didn't put in the pockets because I much prefer pockets that anchor at the waist seam, and because this is sort of uneven, that wouldn't have worked so well. I just have a bit of an aversion to pockets that move around at the side. It's a lovely dress. It'll be a go-to dress for those really hot summer days, and I'm sure they will be here before we know it. But I'm really pleased. I just went with the simple sleeve, not the billowy sleeve for the dress version. It's a lovely length, and I'm very happy with it. The drafting's lovely. The shoulder seams sit nicely on the shoulder. Yes, a lovely dress. The construction's actually really interesting. So I think I'll pop some pictures in now to show you what I mean. Because of the uneven waist, you know, the waist lines don't meet on the left and right, you construct it in a different way. So you join the left bodice with the left side of the skirt, and then you do the same on the right, join the bodice with the right side of the skirt, and then you sew them together up the centre front seam. So it was a little bit nerve-wracking making sure that tuck, you know, was spot on, and I did have to unpick that at one stage just to wiggle it a couple of millimeters more into place, but in the end I got there. What am I making next? Well, this is the fabric I'm going to use, and more about that in a minute, but it's going to be very much inspired by this dress, and I made this for last Christmas. I wore it to a Christmas Eve party, and I love it. So these are these are both linen silks, so it's a very fine, lightweight linen with just 10% silk, and the feel of it's just beautiful. It's so soft and smooth, and it doesn't crease a lot. It's just lovely, and I want another dress to wear around Christmas and the New Year in this print, which I just adore. So this dress is the I Am Patterns Octarine, which is a very simple wrap dress, and it's one of my favorite wrap dress. I love the Haley by Named Patterns, and the Octarine is just a bit different. It's actually pairs it right back. It's very simple. There's just a back, like the whole back, the bodice and skirt is one piece, and the front, the two fronts, and the sleeves, there's no separate facings. It's just finished with bias, and then I just you know, there's an internal tie. I think I added that myself, and just a clip to fasten it at the front, and then, you know, an optional belt, you know, just a tie belt to finish it off. Now, why this is going to inspire this is because they're both panel border prints. So this is, and there's not much of this left, this is Impressions Lakeside, and I'm just going to hold it up so you can get a bit of an idea, but I'll probably insert photos as well to get, so you have a better idea. So it's, I didn't write down the measurements for this one, but each panel, at a guess, I think that's about 80 something centimeters, and it's the print sort of all the business, most of the bold colors, the interesting part of the design is towards one selvage. But I didn't want to have a whole dress where all the bold color, the interesting blooms were all down around the hem of the skirt. So what I did was, as you can see by the left side, I've just cut it out by flipping the fabric around. So I just placed the pattern piece, you know, the bodice part on where the blooms are, and so the skirt, you know, is the still beautiful, but the less interesting section. And then for the left side, I switched that around. So the left side has the blooms up towards the hem and the plainer bodice section. And I wanted to do something interesting with one of the sleeves, and I thought what would look best probably is to continue those blooms on the right side. So there's one sleeve that is full of blooms, and then the other sleeve continues the plainer sort of part of the print, although it's hardly plain. And then the back is more reflective of how the panel looks in its entirety. So yes, and a little bit more about the pattern. So very simple. I love the sleeves. It's one of the features I love most about it. I love how well it wraps. I love the height of the wrap, but I love the sleeve. It's really beautiful sleeve. So that's where I'm headed, towards another Octarine, but I'll talk to you about another option. My other option, well, at least at this stage, is a Vogue pattern, the 1801 pattern. This is very similar in a number of ways to my go-to Vogue pattern, but I wanted to give this one a go. I love the neckline. It's not as low as that Vogue pattern, you know, the one. And it has more movement in the sleeves. The sleeves are different. The only concern about using this pattern for this print is the skirt pieces. So the front has 3 panels. The back has a centre back seam. So is that going to be the right pattern for this print? And I'll tell you more about this print now. So this is the print in all its glory. So as you can see, just like the other fabric, the Impressions Lakeside, it's it's divided up into panels. The blooms sort of reach up about 87 centimeters or so, and then there's about 53 centimeters or so of this plainer section. So again, it's perfect for a wrap dress, I think. Hence the veering towards the Octarine. Well, let me know what you think. I'm just not sure. I'll have to have a good look at these blooms and how they might be sort of, cut. Perhaps it's not going to be great with that Vogue pattern skirt. It could still certainly work. I'd really like to play with, at the front for example, that centre panel. I could have, show off some blooms, and then on either side of that I could perhaps have the reverse and have some blooms to, closer to the waistline. So that would be nice. And then I'll have fun thinking about how, where to position the bodice pieces. One, I'm guessing, will be plainer, and one more showcasing the blooms. We shall see. I'm in 2 minds. I love both dresses. I just haven't made that Vogue one before. but I've been looking on Instagram and there's a couple of gorgeous versions, so I'm tempted to make it. I thought I would show you two other panel prints in the linen silk that I have at Cloth Edit. They're called Bonjour Spring, and one's in the pink colourway and one's in the multi colourway. So again, I've just got the top bit folded down in both instances so you can see, you know, where all the action is, where all those beautiful blooms are. So I'm certainly very tempted with both of these prints. I'm probably leaning towards the pink, but I'm not sure, but that's going to be another make later in summer. So as it's my 16-year anniversary today, I thought I'd dig out my wedding dress, and I got quite sentimental actually dragging it out. It barely fits on this mannequin, I can tell you. But you know what, I love it. I wouldn't change a thing. I absolutely still adore it. It was very different to what most of my friends were having for dresses. It's quite, well, it's quite vintage looking probably. But yeah, I just really love it. I love the lace. It's the most expensive fabric I'm sure I'll ever buy. Lots of gold in it and lots of beading, and it has dimension with beautiful flowers, you know, attached all over the fabric, and each of the flowers has little pearls sewn into it as well. So gorgeous fabric. My sister Claire is a couturier and she sewed it for me. I have lots of sisters, but the wedding was actually at my sister Claire's house, and Claire is the couturier and she made my wedding dress. She doesn't make many wedding dresses now, only for family. Anyway, I just thought I'd leave you with it. I should tell you that this is actually a Vogue pattern, 7571, so there are still a few copies out there on Etsy and eBay. We changed the underdress. The outer dress is pretty much as per the pattern, but the underdress we just modified just so it was a little bit more bra friendly and more comfortable. So that's it. I hope you like it. Yeah, it's quite special. In the photos you'll see a picture of Claire, who was my maid of honour also, matron of honour I should say, and there should be one of my mum and dad who have since sadly both passed away, and you will also see my husband Toby, who bought me these flowers this morning, which are really beautiful. So I hope you are well, look after yourself, and until next time, bye bye.
Mm-hmm.